Hello on the Rockers. On this episode, Pride Month continues with Influencer Pride with People Magazine's sexiest guy of TikTok. Ian Paget is here with ABC's On the Red Carpet and PlusLife media personality, Karl Schmid, and some Pride cocktails. Stop it. And some Pride cocktails by master mixologist and longtime entertainment host, by the way, Luke Barr is here. And me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. It's On the Rocks.
Cheers.
Thank you for being.
Wow, and
Life
Hesh.
is amazing,
Wow.
and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
My granddaughter.
Family.
We're talking about Tippi Hedren and how she lived with lions over her own daughter, but that's another story.
It's an interesting name, Tippi. Sorry.
It is, well, after that episode she was on, she
Definitely was.
tipped it over. She worked with Alfred Hitchcock, and she was in Charlie Chaplin's last film that he directed. So
Wow.
working with two greats like that, it's all in her book. Anyway, Buttons and Bows and Pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, place from Too Glam to Give a Damn. I say this every year and nobody ever listens to me. During Mother's Day, I see the most gorgeous pictures of everybody's mom, no matter the age. Gorgeous. Father's Day comes around. You're too busy buying your dad a mug or a tie. You need to be buying your dad some moisturizer, especially if he has a gay son or a gay grandson. What's the benefit if you're not going to tell him to moisturize? I see some dusty dads out there. Nobody's like, oh, how beautiful. They're like, that's your dad. Buy some lotion.
You had to get that off your chest, didn't
I
you?
say it every year, and every year
It's
it's
been
just
bugging
like-
you like crazy.
Because we all know, where if we want to be honest, Mother's Day, it's like, oh God, everybody's mom is so
no,
beautiful.
that's not
You know,
fair.
I-
I saw nice pictures with dads and things.
I mean, I saw pictures of dads that weekend, but it
that
wasn't
wasn't
a real
Father's
dad.
Day. That was
It was
another.
Rocco Steele. Hi, Rocco. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, if you're still on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email, book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris, or an awful pride. Won't name names. I don't care. I will be there. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch and or listen to. We are so close to 300 episodes, by the way. You can watch it or listen all for free at ontherocksradioshow.com or Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, again, if you're still on Facebook, streaming with Pride on SVTV, and randomly, we're on Channel 31 on the East Coast 4 times a week.
Wow.
Lucky East Coast.
That was like a CVS receipt right there.
I'm not done. The show is
Oh,
brought
God.
to you by FanDaddies.com, bringing you the sassiest and classiest of clacking hats and fans for prides, EDM parties, sassy selfies, and yes, even sci-fi nerds.
FanDaddies.
We designed a Star Trek clacking fan. Head to FanDaddies.com. We want to support our small businesses. We're going to talk about our other sponsor, NEFT Vodka, but we're going to do that for real. One of our media sponsors, LE Parties, setting the bar high with their LGBTQ events and parties. They're coming to San Diego Pride for one epic weekend.
Are
And
you
when
hosting?
I say,
Are you hosting that?
I will be there. I'm not sure what exactly I'll be doing.
Okay.
Or how big my trailer's going to be, but from July 13th to 7th, now that's the first question
That's
I have
real
to
That's
ask.
trailer?
bigger than LA Pride,
I
so,
mean,
right?
it's like food services. No, vodka and trailer. That's what I need to know. And how many backstage passes. Anyway, one epic weekend, pool parties, block parties, day parties, nightclub parties, rooftop parties, and parade parties. Head to leparties.com. Fly into San Diego for this weekend. I know LE Parties, and they pull out all the stops. I'll be floating around there somewhere, like I'm not sure. All right, let's get the show on the road. I will formally introduce our guest, Ian Paget, and guest co-host Karl Schmid. But before we talk about Hot Topics, Pride, and breakups, let's drink. As our loyal listeners know, our shenanigans are fueled by NEFT vodka. It's just damn good vodka. And I say this truthfully, I never have a hangover after a night of NEFT vodka. So that in itself is
That's
amazing.
because you pour the NEFT vodka in everybody else's drinks but your own.
Oh, believe me. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And that's just the before party. We usually have to pour our own drinks ourselves. But today we have a treat in studio. We have a treat on the eyes and a treat in your mouth. Oh, that sounded weird. He's
liked
straight.
I liked it.
NEFT vodka is doing...
What's that got to do with anything?
Because a treat in your mouth, I was making a Pride gay joke.
Like a
Meh, meh.
sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
guy.
somebody might find it a treat in their mouth. It just might not be a dude. Okay.
And that's our show.
You invited me back here.
I'm so excited. NEFT Vodka has joined forces with master mixologist and longtime entertainment host Luke Barr as part of its expansion into increasingly large and extravagant events and productions. He joins NEFT with nearly 2 decades of experience in the mixology industry and has worked with some of Hollywood's greatest entertainers.
These
including-
pictures, and you say is straight?
This is the photo of my introduction right
I mean, girl, our audience is like,
I'm
oh,
saying.
save a motorcycle, ride a Luke.
Right at your own risk.
He's worked
And
with
it's,
Jennifer.
and it's only $1 a ride.
Well, it's a little bit more. He's worked with Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Wilmer Valderrama, Ava Longoria, and Oprah Winfrey. He began training under renowned mixologist Richard Swan, and he soon began crafting these amazing cocktails with reductions, syrups, and other concoctions that sometimes takes weeks to make. He has consulted with about every large-scale and most distinguished venues in the country, including Beverly Wilshire Hotel, the Four Seasons, and on and on. He's also been involved in the entertainment industry, first serving as the youngest host to lead the nightly comedy performances for Disney Cruise Lines. I'm sure there's so many stories there. His additional experience includes hosting variety shows on networks such as OWN, Hallmark, NBC Universal Kids, and CMT. Please welcome Luke Barr.
What an intro.
What an intro.
Now, did you change your name Barr just because of what you do?
No, okay, I've been asked
Everybody
this
asks you
many,
that,
many
right?
times, all the time, but I think it's funny because my last name is Barr, and they just thought highly of me just enough that I would change my name but not spell it right.
Well, you are blonde.
Yeah, this is right. This is true.
And it
this is true.
appears to be natural
Well,
from where I'm sitting.
What's
Jessica,
left? Yeah, it's still.
Jessica, does it everything match? Okay, it does. It's a treat in your mouth. NEFT Vodka. That's going to be the new barrel, by the way.
Actually, that was actually the best segue because our cocktail tonight is called the Kinsey based on the Kinsey scale.
Ooh.
Because I think everyone's a little gay, everyone's a little straight. However you want to play it,
That's
right?
exactly right.
It's great.
I'm a lot of
You know
gay.
what? The sweat on his upper lip just came out even more when you said that.
It's actually my Botox leaking. It's been a long week. But I love this. You know how we're going to talk about this, Ian. We're going to talk about this, about how corporations grab
Botox?
onto pride. I don't want to talk about it. But how corporations grab onto pride. But I want to talk about reason we have NEFT as a sponsor is because they are active in the community. And I want to talk about this Pride Barrel. Can you tell a little story behind the Pride Barrel?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. I love this story because it's personal to me. The artist that designed this barrel, a man named Paul Robinson, was a regular of mine at a bar in West Hollywood. Sadly, no longer there. I'll say it. It was in the neighborhood in Boys Town.
What was the name?
Yeah, what's the bar?
Tortilla Republic. I don't know.
I love
It's not there.
Tortilla
Wait,
Republic.
I mean, that's
It's the
so
best.
annoying
That's your
that's
bar?
gone. And that
It breaks
The
my
best
heart.
happy hour. I will say,
and the Sunday
not the
brunch.
best entrees, but the best bar, the best happy hour
Yes.
ever.
It
That's
was-
where you
thank
took your
you.
date.
Yes.
And then you either moved on to the rest of the dinner or you moved on to somebody's
And
house.
before that, it was a sushi restaurant, and now isn't it going back to being a Japanese restaurant or something?
I don't know. It just makes me sad to
yeah,
talk about it.
That's sad.
Such a great environment. Really, also talk about being involved in the community. It was such a great space where you could go, and it wasn't like the thunka
Thank you.
of the
Right.
Abbey.
Yeah.
You could have a conversation, have an elevated cocktail, have that experience, see hot boys, and still get that sexy experience. But
And brunch was really good there too.
well,
I
usually
love
passed out by
brunch
Sunday.
there.
I'll take
But yeah,
your word for it.
the cocktail I'm going to make tonight is somewhat of a spin-off of the one that I used to make for him all the time. And now he was the guy that brought me into NEFT 4 or 5 years ago now. And when we asked him to design the barrel, he said, I'd love to. I want to be a part of this, but under one condition. And he wasn't very serious about it, but he was serious, where he said, you have to sell it all the time. And our majority owner, without even hesitation, said, sure, you got it, but I'm just curious why. And he goes, because I'm not just gay in June. And it really hit deep with us because I thought the representation is not a 30-day representation for most people. It's 365. So we very proudly are supporters of the community as friends of the family, as I like to say. But the barrel is sold 365 because we think it should be all the time.
Yeah, and we love that from the allies. And there's a QR code. Does that mean I get something sort of discounted if I
This
scan
is
it?
fun. You can scan it. I'm going to tell you yes, just because
scan
I
it
think that's a
now.
fun
Carl's
story.
like one of the
but-
most successful journalists in the nation. He's asking for a discount.
No, I'm not. I'm asking what the QR code is. I'm going to do it now. Well,
You can scan it. It takes you to our website, takes you to e-commerce. It will take you to a place where you can find cocktail videos that I make so you can kind of follow along at home.
Take you to a place.
It takes you to places.
am I over 21?
Do you really want me to answer that? 1921.
Ouch. That's why I'm in my cabana wear. Crafted. Oh, it's crafted in Austria.
It's all in
My
Austria.
father's Austrian.
Wow.
So
This is my
made for
people's
you.
vodka.
It's a good. There's a whole like list of why it's so good, but with the rise and all of this stuff that goes over my head. But I'm telling you, it's so smooth, and this is no joke. Having a hangover is a career killer for me,
Yes.
especially how often
You
my
drink?
events and all that. Yeah, it's part of the job.
It is.
But
It
if you
is.
have a hangover in the morning and you have to call out or you can't function, forget it. Yes.
Not with this.
Your YouTube videos are so fun, but you also host a show for NEFT. You have your own kind of
We do.
filmed podcast. It's NEFT After Dark.
Yes. yeah.
Tell us some of the people that you've chatted with.
Oh my goodness, who have we had on the show? A lot of them are up and coming musical artists. We really
Yes.
want to shine light on. I don't want to say people that may not get this, but there's a lot of really talented people out there that can't just get in the spotlight. They can't even get on stage.
Right. Yep.
So a lot of that, we have a guy, our producer and showrunner, is a very talented man named Neeson Williams. We're very lucky to borrow him because he actually does his own show, and of course everyone's connected and everything except for me. I'm like a one-trick pony here. But he has brought all these artists in to be on our show, as well as famous musicians. We've had actors, we've had entertainers, we had
had
a Tony
everybody.
winner
Yeah.
on our show. Yeah, and I'm just very honored and proud these people will come and sit down and talk to me, and they really open up. Mainly because it's like this. We have a cocktail. We don't have a coffee mug of water. We have a real drink. We get a little loose. We have food before, and we have a little party after, which I think makes for a very enjoyable experience.
But you're such a good host because you set the tone. It's relaxed. You feel like you're at a happy hour, and you never know what you're going to talk about. You just know that you're going to unwind, probably spill some more tea than you had intended to, but you're going to walk away being, God, that was a good time.
It depends on how much NEFT I have. It gets real
Yeah.
loose real quick. Yeah.
And you
But
guys,
no hangover.
No hangover.
no
That's always the
hangover.
best part.
But you guys film at your tasting room, which is gorgeous, by the way. Yeah, so
Where is the
NEFT
tasting
HQ?
room?
Yeah, so we have an HQ, we have a studio there, we have an edit bay, and pretty much what it was, we moved into a location, and as other people moved out of the building, we just blew the wall out and took over their rent. So it worked out well. We're just expanding over in this one building, so we really do have a kind of a headquarters down, not too far off from LAX and El Segundo. So
I think
we're
we should
local.
do like a mashup, like a pride mashup with influencers.
Let's
and
do
we
it.
have like a little drink-a-thon.
I'll commit for my whole
That's
entire
our
company
set
right
of
now.
our
Yes.
drink-a-thon, raising money
Isn't
for
that every
sexy
weekend?
penguins. I
Yeah,
don't know.
sexy penguins.
Penguins are sexy and they're very homosexual. That we've learned.
They mate for life, right? Did I make that up?
Yeah, and they stole like
They
somebody
do.
else's baby or something, an egg. I listen to the news with like one eye closed because the news. Anyway, but I have a question for you. I was raised on old school Hollywood, like the movies, because my grandma was very involved in Hollywood, and so very old fashioned. And I was like, she was like my Auntie Mame. So certain drinks that I knew about, like vodka stingers, gimlets, old fashions, unless you go to a special mixologist like yourself, it seems like that part of Hollywood, that part of old-fashioned style, it's like out the window. Nobody knows these drinks.
It's a great question, and I'm not going to talk on this too much because the show isn't long enough. But the best way to describe this is, for a long time, there were really good bartenders and craft bartenders. That's what we had back in the 40s and the 50s. We had really good bartenders. Now, when we talk about mixology, this is a whole new thing. We're more like mad scientists to some degree, with a larger understanding of multiple products and eccentric ingredients that we can combine to make a balanced cocktail. And most of those that we do, I'm going to sell out all the mixologists out there, I'm sorry, but also, this is true. They're kind of already based on cocktails that exist. We're not really creating new cocktails. We're creating new mixers. We're creating new reductions. We're creating new shrubs, like the lavender syrup we're going to have in our cocktail tonight. That is what is really making
the botanical
cocktails different.
stuff, right?
Well, botanical, but also a margarita used to be a margarita because you use lime juice. Now we might use something like a black lime cordial or a lime sweet,
Right.
which is a completely different deconstructed version that's no longer sweet and sour or just lime juice. So we're expanding on the way we used to do it.
But can I just, to your point for a second?
Yeah.
You talk, because old fashions have kind of become back in vogue. I know plenty of people who drink them. I struggle to find someone who can just make a decent vodka martini.
100%.
That
I just went through this. You know how we travel a
I'm
lot.
such a snob when it comes to the martini. I apologize.
I'm not
to
even
the
a snob,
bartender.
but make it the way that it should be
Well-
and make it a quality drink.
Well, I apologize ahead of time, and I say, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a real snob when it comes to a martini,
Yeah.
and so you got to make it right. Otherwise, I may ask for it to go back.
Yes.
And there's probably 2 bartenders that I trust in Los Angeles, which is the only bars you'll find me sitting at. But interestingly, shout out to a little, what's that? I'm not going to shout out them out because I forgot the name. But there's a bar on Sunset, and I asked the girl, could you make me a vodka martini? I said, I'm really fussy. It's going to be really cold. She made it, and it was stunning. And I said, and it was on the happy hour menu. And I said, did you make that with well vodka? And she said, yeah. And I said, that's insane, because normally it'd be a Grey Goose, but it was made with not that, and it was perfect. So it's all in the execution, right?
Easy answer is no.
Really?
I mean, you can tell when it's a well. That's when you get the hangover, and then that's if something's grainy. It just doesn't feel right.
Or it has a bitter taste. Now, if you shake a martini hard enough, I could make you think that tequila was vodka.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So really, when you shake a martini, you're diluting and you're watering it down, which is not necessarily incorrect. What you want to do is use a big block of ice and shake it so that it's cold enough that you will not kill aromatics or therefore flavor profile, but also is chilled enough where it's kind of like it's a nice experience on the mouthfeel.
You should never go when you've taken a sip.
You shouldn't do that to anything. I don't
That's
think.
very true, actually. I learned that the hard way.
Depends if you bought dinner. No, but I think just like DJs, when somebody was a DJ, they would have to really know the beats. They'd have to bring out all their CDs or records or whatever, and they would literally have to craft it. Now we get a DJ that uses their playlist and uses an app, and they're a DJ. I feel the same thing is happening with the term mixologist. You can't just follow a recipe that you found on Google and be like that, or add something that's so woke, like this is a lavender bush eaten by a llama in India. And so it's like, just make me a good drink. That's what I really care about.
Ian just looked like he's embarrassed because maybe he's done that.
I haven't had a lavender bush, like a lavender bush in a drink that was.
I don't know.
offered to
I don't
me.
know when the
But
last time you
just
had a
laugh-
lavender bush.
Like some of these ingredients have gotten so ridiculous.
I'm only laughing because I tend to actually do exactly that with recipes, like with cooking. I think people think I'm like this chef extraordinaire.
You're a big foodie.
I am a big foodie,
Yeah.
but all I'm doing is copying what someone wrote or someone did, usually watching it first. I'm a big visual learner. But all I'm doing is literally just making something that either Martha made, Giada made, or is on all recipes. You know what I mean?
But you're also not selling like Master Chef.
Yeah,
No,
you're not
no,
calling
no,
yourself
no.
master mixologist.
No, exactly.
And I'm sure along the way you're kind of adding elements that are important to you that you play around with.
For sure.
But I'm talking about like some of
Like
these ridiculous
lavender syrup.
bartenders, like, they want to be the next, undiscovered actor, and they think in the meantime they're a bartender. It's like, no, it takes skill, it takes craft. To your point,
Yes.
when these old Hollywood stars would go to their bartender, it was like going to the doctor. They had to have the skill and
Sure. It's medicine.
Well, in the old
for
movies,
Betty Davis, it was a lot of medicine.
the guy walks up to the bar in the old movies and doesn't say a word, and the bartender just hands
Slides
him
it across the bar.
They
Yeah.
just knew.
And realistically, that's Paul Robinson and I. When you know your clientele enough, and it doesn't happen quickly, it takes time and experience, right? You have to build that rapport. When you know your clientele enough, and we were talking about the whole definition of mixology, the end of that long, weird version of a whole bunch of words is balance.
Yeah.
This is what you're talking about.
Right.
Even if there's two ingredients,
Yeah.
Yeah.
dirty
Martha
martini.
George.
But
You
by the-
can
that's
mess that
like-
up.
yes,
it's
you
like
can.
truffle oil. Like you can't overuse it, and you have to make it balanced. I think that's the biggest thing when we talk about the really good mixologists of today can use eccentric ingredients and create balance.
Alex, Alexander, I feel that your bartender just knows what your drink is whenever you walk in
And
the
it doesn't
bar.
matter. I could go in
Alcoholic.
a hole in the wall where they serve like plastic cups.
I like that. I'm so sad the Gold Coast is not in
Oh my
Los
God!
Angeles anymore.
10 a.m. If you needed to drink at 10 a.m., you'd go there. But people knew you and they knew your drink.
Do you know I
And
was
so
known
I'm-
as the beauty of the bar there? Smokey, who was the
until I walked in.
That's true. Do you know Smokey?
Of course I know
I would walk in
Smokey.
and he'd be like, "Hey,
his
there,
perm hair,
there
yeah.
he is. It's
Yep.
the beauty of the bar."
And they used to make. That sounded just like him.
That's right.
That was eerie. But they would make a Bloody Mary, and they would
Oh,
stack
yes!
this
That was
huge
his.
shrimps and like.
It was famous. The
But it
Sunday
was more
Blo-
about the environment. But it was still a quality drink, no matter if it was in a plastic cup or whatnot. But I also feel that we have a responsibility as bar goers. We've gotten so rude with the way
drink
that we
more.
order, the way that we're on our phone, like, what's good here? No, bitch. Like, you do some work.
Know
Treat your
your
bartender
booze.
with respect. And, so it's partly our fault, too.
I love that. We had a cocktail called the Good here, which was $28, and it was a Pabst Blue Ribbon and a shot of Jameson.
There
so
it
if
is.
someone ordered that, we just turned around and got it, and they got the lesson real quick. know what you want to order.
Anyway, okay, so what are you making for us today?
So this is called the
This
Kinsey.
is our official Pride
Yep.
cocktail.
This is our cocktail for today. This one I've called the Kinsey. We talked about the space on the Kinsey scale.
Anybody can drink it because everybody's a little.
That's it. It's made for everybody, you guys, and everyone likes a little cocktail, right? So it's got fresh lime juice, and I'm just going to pour this in here in no awkward way. I think I'm going to eyeball it. Everyone should be really impressed by me. I'm doing this sitting down, which is never a thing.
I do more
said
and
that
more
this
sitting
week.
down. Yeah.
I said this
Do
week,
you?
but it was not.
I find myself
wasn't the
sitting
same.
more often than not.
Yeah. So fresh lime, lavender reduction. It's a French recipe lavender reduction. Orange flower water. And
Orange
this
flower water.
orange flower
Where do you
water,
get that?
I was just
now,
gonna ask
can-
that.
because that's the thing.
Amazon, you guys.
No,
like,
but-
there's no secrets
No,
to
I know,
this.
but there's this is the other thing. If I can jump in, as someone who wants to do these things, sometimes I get a bit intimidated when I look at the list and I go, "Oh, it's a smoky 30-day-old bitters, and it's a this and it's that." I'm like, "Oh gosh."
See, that gets a little ridiculous.
So it does, but that's also like that's when mixologists start showing off. And I'll be honest, I do it too.
Well, why
But-
not?
Well, that we've learned this stuff. We want to show it off, and really what it is we're showing off to other mixologists to some degree. But this is a cocktail anyone can make at home if you
Okay.
just follow the
Yeah.
steps, and all
And
the
we can
recipes
get
on
that
there.
on Amazon.
You
or
get
in
everything
Bevmo
here
or
on
anything.
Amazon except for the NEFT. You gotta go somewhere
Okay.
else and get that. This is called blue matcha, also known as blue butterfly pea powder, and it's just
Say
kind of
that
fancy.
five
and
I've
fun.
never.
times.
I know.
And what really is what it
I just
does.
had deja vu
It
looking
adds
at you.
color. It doesn't add any texture, any
Pea
flavor.
often does.
Just adds color.
Just look at my carpet from my dog.
We're gonna add
I thought
some
that was going in a
NEFT,
whole
of
different
course.
direction.
No, I wouldn't.
Folsom.
And this one's for me, so I can just do as much as I want
that
here.
Dory
It's the
Allen?
Eat a Garden pour. That's I love. She's like, if you can't raise it yourself, you can buy it. It's fine.
And then fresh cucumber, because this is going to be our earthiness. Like we talked about NEFT
You
being a
squeeze
rye
the
vodka.
cucumber?
I just break
Wow.
it in there because some people muddle it, and I think
Yeah.
that
Don't you
it doesn't
squeeze
always
your
do a lot of good
cucumbers?
for it unless you've peeled the cucumbers because they can get a little bitter.
The textureness
and
of that too.
I take
I'm
my
gonna.
cucumber
You know
to
what?
a
I'm just
movie.
gonna do this.
and I like to use English cucumbers because they're mainly seedless and they don't have a whole bitter.
Again, I'm
English
keeping my mouth
English
shut.
cucumbers are very bitter, by the way.
I don't know.
From personal
How's your-
experience.
You're English.
I am. Yes, born there, but technically American.
Yeah, because you came to Miami. We're gonna get into. all
Oh,
of that.
wow.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Oh, look
Okay.
at the
I know
color.
what school you
color.
went to.
Look at the
I pulled your
color of that.
report card. Excessive talking during
And
class.
usually we would
Wow.
double strain this, but just for the sake of time and television, we're
I
going to jump
can't.
ahead.
This is all just so wrong on a
Like
Pride
Martha would.
special.
This is a dehydrated lime, and then of course we got to fancy this up, right?
Can you
This is Pride.
dehydrate limes by yourself at home?
Yes, if you have an air fryer, you can do it.
Just have it live with Karl for a week.
Don't just try to leave them outside. It doesn't work. But yeah,
I
there's
tried that.
food dehydrators, and of course this won't come off. Yeah, and then a
no
little
comment.
gold slice on top.
What's
You
Now
guys-
that's real
also
gold.
McKinsey.
That's
just
real
a garnish.
cold.
It's real edible gold. Yes, it is.
Edible gold?
Yeah, they use this on cakes and stuff like that. So
Tony, is there
Wow.
any way to?
Do this.
Because I want to tip.
You want the 3 shot.
Here's what we're gonna do on our social media. We're gonna put the recipe and we're gonna put really good pictures so you can see. It's gorgeous.
It is.
You serve
gorgeous.
this at any cocktail party or even on a date. This is pretty impressive.
Or even for breakfast.
Yeah.
Cheers.
See.
Happy
Cheers.
Pride.
Ian, would you give us
Oh, yeah.
a pride toast?
A pride toast?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I'm so happy to be here with all of you crazy people right now, enjoying your drink, and I really hope the gold leaf is something I'm gonna like.
I'm
want for the rest of
exci-
my- I
I'm-
know.
we're
That's-
gonna look
you
like
ex- are you-
'90s rappers.
Are you
after this.
excited for the squeezed
I'm
cucumber
excited,
juice?
I'm excited to just taste it.
I'm always excited for the squeezed cucumber juice.
Okay.
Well,
Cheers, everybody.
He's
I want to
publicist
add,
just
you guys. Kinsey had it right. Kinsey had it right.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh, that's really good.
Oh my god, that's really good.
So I have to say, your lip first hits that dehydrated lime because it comes up to the lip.
Oh,
and so
wow.
you feel that taste going in, and then you get that frothiness. It's that soft where it kind of settles down, that acidity, and then you get the sweet nectar.
That's a great description.
Did you
What? Are we
rehearse
on
this
Food
earlier?
Network?
You've
What's
done
happening
this
right
before.
now?
I
This is
watch
great.
Food Network all the time. It is really good.
First time, right, Alex? That's great.
All I know how to say
this
when
is
I
Look at
drink is
that.
oohs and ahs. That's all I can give
Can
you.
I have another, Alex?
Yes.
And,
Oh wow,
This is really, really good.
it's really good.
and the gold leaf.
Thank you, guys. I
Drink your
appreciate
juice,
it.
Shelby.
Juice
This
is
is
better.
yeah, this could be your steel magnolia drink too if you're having a viewing
Absolute-
party.
You could call it a steel magnolia, if you wanted. Or
I'm open to name changes.
But I love that this is very universal. I think you could have this at a brunch.
it's verse.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you could have that even as a dessert cocktail or a pre-dinner cocktail.
It's clean and
Yeah,
fresh.
very clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Real fresh ingredients, real fresh cucumber, lavender reduction, and we're not using things like instead of a triple
really good.
sec, which
Yeah,
is
the-
just we're
I
using
have a look
orange
at that?
flower water. Yeah, of
It's
course.
because it's not heavy like when you use those kind of.
It's
syrups,
very
very
light.
light.
There's no bitterness to it, and it actually helps create the froth on top. So when you smell it, it gives you this sweet punch that kind of paints a picture for your taste buds.
And even like after dinner, if you have like a heavy meal, I think this would lighten everything up.
And this has 0 calories in it, by the way.
Oh, I'm very concerned with that.
Well, don't squeeze, use fees. That's what it says.
Wow, this is
It
very
does,
good.
though. It's the best
It's
part.
no, that's really good.
That's their slogan. It's great.
That was the Australian in me, just
The
showing
one-
my.
just the one Australian in you? All right, look, who's better drinkers? Like, who can hold their liquor better? The gays or the straights?
The gays, 100%.
100%.
Absolutely.
Who tips better, the gays or the straights?
The gays.
Who tips better, the gays or the lesbians?
No comment.
Don't isolate yourself from.
Oh yeah,
Please.
they're all watching. Ellen's across the way. Oh, she's not there anymore. Never mind. She's at home with Portia. Like, I oughta. Luke, what an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Luke.
And I think, like, you've also proven that you can start adding little elements to your home bar without going crazy, without like
Yeah.
breaking the bank. Like, try this one ingredient, and then you build your library up.
And it's fun to try new vodkas too, like because I
Yeah, it
feel like
really
so
is.
many people have the stock standard what you kind
Yes.
of expect, but something like this that is very supportive of Pride too, NEFT vodka. It's fun. That looks good on your bar cart, and it tastes really good.
And I recommend everyone, you guys, don't just take anyone's word for it. Try it for yourself.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do side-by-side
Go
taste
buy
test.
this.
I welcome it.
And
Yeah.
you can go buy your own barrel of NEFT at any of the liquor stores, but also they're in a bunch of our community bars as well. And if you go to
right.
Strut in OC, by the way, you guys sponsor the photo booth, which is so fun.
I love that bar. Luke has done such a good job.
Very good job. I was just there last week.
Of course you will.
Luke, where can people find and follow you?
At NEFT Bar, 2 R's on Instagram is the easiest way to find me, and of course NEFT Vodka US
Yes.
on there. And if you want, of course, NEFT After Dark, either .com or at NEFT After Dark.
On
Come find the
Thursdays,
show.
yes?
And I want to have you on the show so
Oh, yes.
badly.
I think
There
we
it
should
is, yeah.
do. We should
You should
do
wear
like
the
a
Star Trek
mashup.
clothes. Wear the Star Trek clothes.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to make it like Romulan ale or something. Joke over the head. Okay. Thank you so much. We are so happy that we have NEFT here every week. Our guests love it, and I love our guests loving it.
Thank you so much.
Then we find out all the tea. When we come back, we are talking to Ian Paget, and we are getting to the nitty gritty. We're going to talk hot topics now that we're a little liquored up. We're going to talk about fun stuff too. We're going to talk about your career, by the way. We're going to talk a little bit about behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. So a word from our sponsors. When we come back, it's all chat. Pour yourself another. We'll see you soon. This is Alexander from On the Rocks, where celebrities and cocktails mix. Here to chat about fandaddies.com. High fives and good vibes is your go-to site to get the hottest accessory for 2021. Yes, the fabulous clacking fan with designs that are totally fetch. And you may think that fetch can't happen, but it totally can. They call me Fetch Betch. Now here are the top uses for your Fandaddies fan. To look fabulous. You can spill the tea and tell secrets, but fancy-like. It is also the perfect punctuation for reclaiming your time. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
But I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
And it can also cover that vodka breath. Oh, it's mouthwash, I swear. And last but not least, it makes you look fabulous. So fabulous you have to say it twice. So go to fandaddies.com and get the fan for that best suits your image. Until we can clack our way through festivals, prides, and events, it's the perfect accessory to spruce up your Instagram selfies or send as a gift. So extra. Support small businesses at fandaddies.com.
Yeah.
And we are back. That was so much fun,
That was so much fun.
right?
Yes.
Are you a little lit?
I'm actually not because it's so light, and since I've been having to do most of the talking.
You're burning calories at a
Oh yes, this is my cardio.
rapid speed.
This is my usual.
Can I
cardio,
just
by
tell
the
you,
way.
actually, I've just hired a new trainer who told me about the amount of calories like you burn doing cardio is not a hell of a lot more than you burn doing your office day job.
Huh.
Also, laughing also burns a lot of. Karl.
Oh God.
Karl, that's embarrassing. Your lip.
It is, I am.
Tony, can we have some help over here?
Oh, I've just got to tighten my knob or something.
Oh my God. No, but
It's there, Tony.
but laughing also burns a lot of calories.
It does.
Yeah, that's why I'm a comedian.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. I'm the
So-
best
Ignore me
spokesperson.
for a minute.
Wow, bitch. On that note, let's formally introduce our guest. My co-pilot today having issues staying stiff, is Karl Schmid. Now he's double fisting. Australian-born, he's been busy on American, Canadian, British, and Australian televisions for the last 13
there I am,
years.
look.
Yes, there you are being serious there. See how serious we are?
I even dressed nicely that time.
Well, at ABC TV in LA, he's been a regular contributor since
the
2013.
feet picture.
He's a passionate activist in the fight against HIV stigma. He launched PlusLife in 2019 to help foster a new conversation about what it means for people living with HIV to tackle the stigma still associated with the virus. PlusLife can be found online at PlusLife Media. It's also a half-hour television show in its second season on the newly launched ABC Digital Local-ish TV network, which is so exciting. Talk about bringing our stories mainstream.
It was
This
cold
is
in the
it.
studio that day. Go back to that picture for a second. Can you look? I see a little pokey nipple.
Oh, I
Anyway.
was looking somewhere else. I'm like, you're right. It must have been cold. Wind beneath my wings. It must have been cold in there in my shadow. You've seen him on the red carpet at every Hollywood award show. He's interviewed all of the A-listers, and he slid into some of their DMs. Please welcome Karl Schmid. Also
I
joining
love
us.
that we've got a studio audience who hasn't clapped, but we've got that in.
They don't
there.
know what's going on.
Oh,
They're
okay,
like, what
fine,
the
fine.
hell?
Hello.
Also joining us, Ian Paget, coined 2020 sexiest guy on TikTok by People magazine with over 2.5 million
agree.
TikTok followers, is widely known for his social media challenges and quirky dance videos, starting a new chapter in his life, and has been opening up about the mental health struggles social media personalities face as they are constantly in the public eye.
Wow.
His very public breakup brought a lot of attention and comments to his personal life, and he's ready to talk about it and how we as a society can be better and help those going through strife without overstepping our boundaries, which we can all learn. He loves music and never stops singing. He's a Broadway actor, by the way. But above all, acting is his passion. He is a classically trained actor, singer, dancer, 3 Broadway shows, film and television.
Can we add West End
including-
as well?
West End?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you remember that.
Of course I do.
Yes,
Yes.
you could actually, yes.
Yes,
And
he's
the
at
West End. I was just getting to that, Carl.
Sorry. Well, you
I
told me
was
to
not.
talk more.
I was kidding. Also, he has been on Saturday Night Live. Please formally welcome Ian Paget.
Thank you. Hello. Who is that girl? Like that picture. I don't know that girl.
He's
up
pointing
there.
at both of us right now.
Yeah. Who's that girl? I want to get into your background and past because it's, people talk about your present. No, but people talk about your present success, and I've seen the interviews. I've done the research, and it's like, well, I want to know what makes you today. Like, where did it all begin? But I want to know first, just off the bat, why do influencers, as a stereotype on the surface, get such a bad rap? We use influencer now, and most of us roll our eyes. The new character in Queer as Folk is an actual influencer comedian who got the part, who plays an influencer, who gets canceled. But we have this love-hate, like with the Kardashians. But still, influencers are getting millions of views on their dances, their eating food on camera. They're doing the damn thing. So why is there this weird kind of stigma? It's like, oh, influencer.
I think because
Into the mic, sweetie.
into the mic. I think because we just maybe didn't grow up with it in that same way, so it's still in its like newness. Even though I think right now it's a lot more. It's not so looked down upon, and now it's a new title called content creator, right? Which is less.
That's a hot topic. It's
Okay.
It's like OnlyFans. It's like we roll our eyes at OnlyFans, but everybody is subscribed to people on OnlyFans. Or it's porn actors saying that OnlyFans content creators are not.
I think
are
that,
not
I
actual
think
porn.
I think you make the point there though, because for people like me who are old,
I thought you were going to say on OnlyFans.
No, I give my stuff away for free. Apparently, just look on Twitter. No, and now you're on your phone because I know. No, I think it's because there's a lot of, as I said, older people like me who really worked their asses off and not saying that you guys don't, but but I'm 43 almost, and I've been doing this since I was 13 years old, right? And then the influences have come, and it's seemingly overnight, because you might have a certain physique or look a certain way, you're suddenly a superstar with 2.5 million followers. So I'm answering the point of why do we roll our eyes? Because we go, shit, I've worked. Not allowed to say that.
No, 100%, and I totally hear what you're saying.
I'm just, that's why I think there might be an eye roll, but
the funny thing is that we're still engaging.
we're still
with these
consuming it. Of
Otherwise,
course.
they wouldn't be on a certain level.
course.
They wouldn't have 2.5 million followers if those people weren't scrolling and actively involved.
And mind you, there are people who have more than 2.5 million followers who are really doing their version of the damn thing. And being someone who grew up doing theater my entire life,
You've worked hard.
I've worked hard my entire
Yes.
life at something and had my own adjustment to possibly changing my own viewpoint on the influencer world, because when Insta first came out and then influencer word was being used, there was a giant sort of eye roll and stigma around it, because it was like they just get things for free, whatever the list is. But now, having been thrust into influencer land, not by choice, but now I'm here, and it's like, you know, we live in a multi-hyphenate world. I actually have learned so much about how, like, at least the good ones who are creating engaging content, it is no joke. It is a lot of work. You don't have a vacation.
Ever.
Everyone on your team, you know, just kind of, you're just always on call. It's always like, oh, well, you're doing this job. At least that's what it feels like to me. I feel like sometimes when I work with brands, they are so fast to be like, I need that ASAP. But if I need that ASAP, it's like pulling teeth. But
Like
because they
getting
just
paid?
assume it's like you're on
net
your
30,
phone.
net 60, net 90.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, CAA is there to help for all of that. But like, I think I'm in a place right now where I have a very, very different viewpoint and appreciation for content creators / influencers. The ones who I at least like admire and who I think are doing the damn thing. One of them being my ex, who I think is just like fucking brilliant at the thing.
What's your thing? I mean, I looked at your TikTok this afternoon, and you know, obviously, I've known you. Backstory: he and I have known each other for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
Like long time.
How did you guys meet?
My friend, I did Dream Girls at Tuts Theater Under the Stars in Texas, and one of my
You played one of the leads because it's Texas and
Totally.
it's Theater Under the Stars.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I was Effie.
I actually believe
It was a
that, by the way.
different. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
but very progressive, even for Texas. No, but I was doing Dream Girls at the time, and one of my dear friends that I became very close with in the cast, Randy, was close with Karl, and we met through that.
Yeah.
And once you meet Karl, it's just like friends.
Sweetheart.
Well-
And I'm also a sucker for an accent, so I was just like, oh, he's so
And
nice.
we met in London, right? Because I was still living in London, and I think you came
You guys
over
just
to do.
say Grinder. Let's cut
No,
the story short.
no.
Like, we
you
know
ca-
what really
You
happened.
came over to do West Side Story,
But I don't think we met then.
didn't we?
No, it was after that. Oh,
He
wait.
probably was
I
at the
think
show
we
every
did.
night with his
Wait.
ticket at the stage door.
No,
No.
I mean, as much as I love a little bit, the West Side Story is not up there on my list. Sorry, bad guy.
What do you mean up there on your list of what?
It's too long and tedious.
It's not a
for
show
me.
that you can see over and over again.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
Like
You must have not had a good Anita.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
But to
We will
the
leave it
point that, but to say that you have been working, I mean, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Long before I lived in Los Angeles.
This is what I have to say about your type of content creator, somebody that has the background. We know the times will shift. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. You've constantly, and you as well with the different projects, have had to pivot, reinvent yourself, learn a whole new skill set, dominate that skill set. But then you have all of this that you can do. Go back to Broadway, sure. Be on
But
a
that's
TV
what
show,
you.
sure.
But that's.
Be
I
on a
think
film.
that's what you have to do,
Right, but
Alexander.
the new content creators that have, I think, become quick successes that are doing their one thing and they're sticking to it, whether it's a shirtless selfie over and over again, that's not gonna. It's not
well,
gonna
no.
work.
What
in
happens?
10 years.
What happens when the man boob starts to settle in?
Well, you start a podcast.
I don't know.
Rhetorical. Okay.
You don't know because
I
you
was
haven't
just
had
like,
the
well, I
man
was
boob
gonna
yet.
come with a rebuttal, but I thought we'll start off like nicer.
It's on the rocks. You don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Okay.
But I'm saying that there is this double standard happening.
There is. And to answer your question, I am actually in a bit of a self-discovery mode with my own content right now. So when you ask, like, what is my thing? I actually, I have this thought a lot because since Chris and I broke up, a lot of content isn't being, like, produced the way it was when we were together, and so like we were just making so many videos all at the same time, and it was just like very obvious and clear what kind of content that was. Relatable, funny, pranks, whatever, that I took and like twisted and turned on their head. And now I'm in a place where I'm kind of like figuring out what it is, like what's my voice, just me by myself. And it does kind of include, sometimes it feels like because I'm not specific enough, I feel like I don't have a thing, but it's also just because I can do 7 million things.
Right.
I can talk for an hour, I can dance for 10 minutes, I can sing for 3, and I can, you know what I mean? Like,
No,
I can do
I
the
totally
thing.
do, because people say to me about PlusLife and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what's your target? Who are you aimed at? And I said, everybody. And
Yeah.
they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, actually, yes, I can.
Yeah.
And I have to say, with your variety, somebody's going to click on one video where they wouldn't have clicked
That's-
on your other
that's
video.
exactly
And
what
so
I
you
was doing.
capture that whole market. Tony, can we take a peek at one of his dance
yes.
videos? This is one of your. This is one of your higher watched TikToks, and I just love it. But to me, this is like the epitome.
Oh, I
of,
will. Yes.
God. So funny.
I mean, so LA. This looks
So
like it was
LA.
on Beverly Hills.
I have a question
somewhere.
about this, because my ex-boyfriend's a professional dancer,
Uh-huh.
and he pulls those same faces with his mouth.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
that about?
So, well, for this one, funny enough, like that's not one of my favorite dances we ever did, because we learned that so fast. We were on a time crunch because we could only.
Yeah, you and me both. We'd be like, play it again.
yeah. No, because So, talk us through it. Like, what the actual process.
I want to know
between
about the mouth thing, though.
So, okay, we'll get to mouth thing, but like what happens with Kelly, who I'm in love with, and he's one of my favorite people to collaborate with. We just come together, and she shows me videos that she's like, I think this would be fun to do with you, and then I say yes or no. And sometimes the way we first started with creating was like I choreographed. I was like, oh, like let's make up a dance. I have these ideas. But this one was, I forget, I think Nathan Ramsey's dance, which I love, and he's a UK dancer and like makes really, really great choreography. But she'll show me this. We'll take like 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to learn it. And then
I
you
mean-
just like bank it in.
There was
your-
like a 2-day
Yeah, no,
rehearsal
no.
process.
Exactly.
Here on like
Oh, no.
Melrose at that dance
Yeah.
studio.
Which
Yeah.
then goes into your mouth, because I tend to, when I feel insecure about like I don't feel like I have enough time with this, I'm gonna pretend like I maybe know more than I do. So the faces are making up for possibly like don't look at me maybe not knowing this dance.
Oh my
as well.
God, that's
You know what I mean?
that was flawless, though.
I mean, yeah, and because people don't just watch it once and scroll through, they watch it again and again, and so they do notice face, they notice like the shoes, and they notice the environment. Like that street was empty. Like you probably had to film that real fast before
Every time
cars
there's a
started coming
car,
out.
we have to stop,
Yeah.
and like the shooting takes like at least, I don't know, 20 minutes because of the car situation, or there's just a lot of like, nope, mess up again. Like I do a lot of behind the scenes too. My favorite
Yes.
thing to do is when we learn a dance, I just always put the camera up because I think the behind the scenes are really funny.
The
And-
twerking, oh my god,
my
I laughed
God.
so hard because we see the final product usually in its perfection.
well, there was no final product there because I'm still
But
learning
it was
how to
so
twerk.
endearing to see, Ian, we think, oh, he's got it all, whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
here's this white boy twerking. He's like, am I twerking? I was like, no, honey, you're not. But it was so cute. And so when you did the twerking video, it was like, I got to be a part of that leading up to
did it inspire you to twerk?
Honey, I twerk when I walk down the stairs. Like
Do you?
it automatically
Can you
happens. Like,
can you
blah, blah, blah,
twerk
blah,
for
blah,
us
blah.
now?
Absolutely not.
Also, I just want to correct, I'm not a white boy.
Okay.
I'm white passing, but I'm
What-
Hispanic.
Yeah, Honduran.
Wow, yeah.
See,
Well, I do a lot of research.
I will tell you. This is. Can I just pay you
Also,
a
I'm
You
not
went to
offended.
French grade school.
I sure did.
You speak 3 languages.
I sure do. Wow.
I pulled your report card.
Wow, this is easier than any date I've ever been on. Because
A lot of people say that about Alexander.
I know, it's like, yes.
A lot of people.
Check, please.
And he's had 1.5 vodka drinks. So,
The night is young, my friend.
oh, don't we know?
But
it.
you've had this kind of multicultural, and
Yeah.
that's also funny to just call you the white boy. I do it because it's a cheap joke, but you do come with this cultural richness as well, and I think we see all those different sides that you have had the education, you have been exposed to different cultures, and I think that all feeds in to what you present. It's not just some of our friends do one thing only, and that works for them for now. And they do it well. I'm not putting that down, but there's so many different layers and different energy that you bring.
yeah, and
you.
I think when you sort of can find something that becomes a real passion within it, it takes on another level of itself.
Yeah.
And I don't in any way consider myself an influencer or I'm a
But
content
you are,
creator.
Carl. I know
Well,
that
no,
you hate that.
I do,
but it's happened.
But when you find something that suddenly clicks inside you and it's like a fire is lit. It takes whatever you're creating to the next level too, and you love doing it. Like I can't begin to tell you the amount of times that I have to sit down to do a PlusLife interview, and I've had a long day, and I'm like, who is this? I don't want to do it, and I'm in a bad mood. And the minute
Something
the interviews,
clicks.
and
Girl,
the
I've
minute
been there.
the interview is finished, I'm in the best mood ever.
And your heart starts being like,
Yes.
this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Correct.
And Karl, you are an influencer. When you came out on television as HIV positive, do you know what that did for so many people in your position that were hiding behind the stigma at the risk of your career? The fact that you have been part of the first televised prides ever, you are an influencer. And you're an activist now, whether you wanted to or not. You're a spokesperson, whether you wanted to or
No, I
not.
enjoy being an activist. The influencer thing makes me slightly uncomfortable. And maybe that's because, and to say this, the stigma, and I'm all about fighting stigma, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's the stigma that comes with that word influencer that just makes me go, no, I don't want people to think I'm this overnight fame whore, which
Yeah.
I'm not, that does not apply to you, but I'm just saying that's what I think a lot of people look at influencers
I mean,
and
even
think that.
as gay men, the stereotype used to be a Will and Grace, the Jack, like sassy
Yes.
one-liner, snap, snap, snap. That was a stereotype of being gay. And we know there was so many different shades of being gay, just like there's so many different shades of being an influencer. To that point, I want to play one of your other TikToks. If we can do this, you actually shared your coming out story for Pride.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah.
Your pants
It
are
is
good in this
Pride
one. I like
Month,
those
and
pants.
I was thinking I wanted to share my coming out story. It's one of the most beautiful memories I have with my dad. And if this story can help with anyone who's having a hard time, if you feel scared to do so, listen to this story because I was pretty surprised at how it went down. I'm gonna get a little closer to you guys. I was a senior in high school, post-prom night. My dad picked me up. Because I was in such a good mood and we were vibing, which wasn't always the case, I was like, Dad, I have something I want to tell you. Are you gonna tell me you like boys? Yeah. Ian, I'm your father. I've known since you were a toddler. What? Well, why didn't you tell me? His whole thing was like, just be safe. You're my son. I'll love you no matter what. Just, I don't think we should tell your mother. Okay. His thought process around things is, it's old school. My mom is Latina, and you know, this is her first gay son. She hasn't had any more after me, thank God, because I need all the attention. I was like, okay, like, why? He's like, yeah, you know, like, what she won't know won't hurt her. Which I totally understand. In the moment, I think feeling so good about sharing it with someone in my family and such a vulnerable moment that I was like, okay, this is a baby step. Cool. We'll keep it at this. And it's one of the most surprising moments that I ever had with him because I just really didn't think that it was going to go like that. And I was so scared to ever talk about it. So I just really want to say that, Daddy, I love you so much. And I really love and cherish that moment that we had. And if you're someone who is figuring out how to share this with a family member, you know, biggest thing I say to people is like, if you think of the person as capable of receiving the information, they will. I was in a good place. I was in a good mood. We were vibing and I took that opportunity. I wasn't worried about my information being received by him, and so he wasn't either. If that's something that's on your mind and you do feel like there's trust, but you just have a little bit of fear, I would say everything you want is on the other side of that fear. If you leap, the net usually will appear. Love you. Happy Pride. Oh, and if you want to know what my mom said, this is not 6 minutes long and we don't have time for that.
But you see that's like the opposite side of one of the dancing videos, but it's still, that personality still has that energy. So to me, it's like, I wonder how many people were affected by that one video who might be struggling with coming out, especially during COVID. So many of our younger generation were forced back in the closet at the expense of losing their
Literally,
home.
because they couldn't leave the house.
That's or they'd be kicked out if they did come out.
Yeah, but
I
you know,
I'm just making a-
No.
when you
I'm a comedian too. Can't you see?
Yes.
when you own your truth, right, and when you're comfortable in your truth, and you're sincere like that, that resonates. Like, you watch that, I want to watch more of you, whether it's dancing or unpacking something or that. When you're being 100% authentically you, I've found in the 100,000 years that I've been doing this job, that's when it resonates and you click with somebody at home. And even if it's just one person that you click with, that's the difference versus I'm going to put on a show now and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about your breakup quite yet. I want to keep that towards the end of the show. But part of that is when couples get on social media, sometimes it makes my skin crawl because it is not authentic. It's not the right chemistry. It's awkward.
And it can be
it's
very
uncomfortable.
destructive,
And
too.
that's what. So, but we'll keep that. But something, Ian, what you did during Mental Health Awareness, and I have to tell you, I've been doing interviews for Pride year after year after year on the show where we dedicate a whole month to LGBTQ issues. Never, ever have we talked about mental health so much until this Pride, that everybody is sharing their story. And it used to be something that you didn't talk about, or you were, you just kept it to yourself, which has been so destructive. And I know this past Mental Health Awareness Month, you really shared a lot from your personal life and your struggles from mental health, and it's something that plagues the industry, and it's the mental health issues that happen with social media influencers.
Not just the industry, though. I mean, especially the our community.
100%. But what we don't understand from this influencer industry is that there's a whole other depression and mental health issues that are happening. Can you talk about this from your unique point of view, what exactly the pressures are and how you kind of deal with that?
I mean, I guess it can piggyback on what Karl was just saying, is that from that video, it's so authentic, so engaging. I would want to see more of that. If I'm a person who it was received super well. Andrew, who's sitting in the audience right now, was with me when I was making it and editing, because I was just like, what is the purpose of this? I'm always asking why am I posting this thing? You know what I mean? And it was received so well, and I had a moment of okay, so then the next one should be just as authentic. It can become its own it can be your Achilles heel in a way. And so this thing that you find to be very rewarding can also be a thing that can take an amount of energy out of you that actually takes away from the authenticity, because now you're trying to just recreate a moment.
Right.
Exactly. And so with me, I have had quite a struggle with finding what my voice is that still feels organic but still feels engaging and something that's worth putting out. And so sometimes I don't do that, and then sometimes I find that my mood had been dependent on just videos in general. So when I was with Chris, we put out so much content, and I felt very seen, and I felt almost uncomfortable by how much people thought they knew me. And now on the other side of that, it's it ebbs and flows. And so I've had to kind of just be my own self-regulator when it comes to, am I putting something out because I need a mood boost and I need validation from the world? Or am I putting something out because I want to share something that naturally already lights me up, makes me feel good, or I think would just be helpful for someone to hear? And those are just things you have to think about as your own producer and your writer and your,
How much pressure do you feel to produce this content? Now that it's become this thing.
Yeah.
And also a job too.
No, that's what I mean.
It's your job.
But and to your point just now of saying I was so vulnerable and honest and open in that one, and it felt really good and the reaction was good. Shit, how am I going to one up that now and keep it I can't air all my personal stuff out there, because there's stuff you have to keep personal, because that's important that you to keep your identity. So how much pressure do you feel on a daily basis to come up with something? And then also the second part of that is, if it doesn't get the numbers that your previous video does, how does that affect your mental health? Do you feel suddenly like a crashing failure? Because I know for myself, if I put something out that hasn't done as well, whether it's just an Instagram picture or it's something for PlusLife, and it doesn't do as well, I'm I failed. This is good. Nobody likes this. Nobody wants to see it.
That's so awful. I mean, it's really awful, and you can't judge. It could be the time of day. It could be whatnot. Or you could really effectively reach 100 people, but you only got this many likes. Or you got 2,000 likes, and nobody really paid attention.
They were just scrolling
through. And plus, there's also, I've heard from influencers, there's this euphoria, just like I feel when I buy new shoes or I'm online shopping. When you hit
endorphin
post or
release,
something, there's this euphoria.
Yeah. I would agree with that for sure. There's something nice about feeling like you're contributing and joining in on the fun,
or being liked.
Exactly. But even just deciding that you're going to make something and you think you've got a great idea, or that this moment feels like, oh, I want to jump on the train. Everyone seems like they're having fun on the For You page, that kind of thing. And so when you do decide to post, like they're saying, there is something nice about that. It's super exciting. It feels very what's the word? Not mysterious, but unpredictable, because you just don't know where it's going to go. But I will have to say, I weirdly am. I am okay with where numbers do or don't fall. Obviously, anyone would want gigantic numbers.
Well, it's your business, though. I mean, the bigger the numbers, the bigger the paycheck of potential sponsors.
Sure, but you know what's interesting is I have actually felt. I don't know. I'm not looking at analytics. I'm so not that person. I would hire someone to do that for me. But like I feel like because I had a deep fear that after the breakup, no one was gonna want to do anything with me. A lot of what was being handled was Chris. He was really good about like, let's make this. He just is idea. He's
in
got
a lot of couples, there's somebody that handles the business part. There's somebody that is the
and it's one of the best things about him, you know. But
can I know you wanted to wait, but I can't help myself. How much of your success do you think, and the success of the two of you, maybe was, keeping that relationship together? And what was that breaking point? I'm sorry to go into it so soon.
Jesus Christ.
No, but come on. Like you're saying, like you were creating so much content, right?
Yeah.
You were getting all the likes. I mean, the endorphin release on that. I mean, you gained notoriety by being a couple. So how hard was it to make that decision to go, this is not, as a couple, this isn't working. We're going to be friends, but as boyfriends, we should maybe let that chapter lie and start the next one. How much did you maybe hesitate, or how much did the contributing factor of the brand being a couple play into any of that?
I mean, it played a giant role in the pressure cooker that was that year and a half and 2 years, and it wasn't by choice. Like I didn't ask to all of a sudden have that be my work and job, and so a lot of it was super fun, and then all of a sudden it became work. And like anything, everyone hates their job. No one who goes to work for anything they do loves their job. There's a moment in time where you're just like, oh, I gotta go to work. It's just it's just a part of the thing, and that's just what happens. And that kind of happened with us, and our job and work was so wrapped around being in a couple that like I actually felt like I had a pretty good head on my shoulders around trying to keep it sustainable. That was my biggest thing, and I really honestly didn't have the language around how to communicate that. And I actually feel like if I could go back now, knowing what I know, or feeling that it's not the end of the world, it doesn't just make me this one thing, I would have probably handled it a little bit better. I would have had more of an arsenal of support, just whatever, language wise, or just I just wasn't equipped for it.
Yeah, but these are life lessons, Ian. So
exactly.
So I mean, and the good thing is, it certainly when I look at your social pages, anyway, you guys still have a solid relationship. You're just not boyfriends. So
correct.
Exactly.
It was breakups.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, they're go.
It always makes me very nervous.
Shut up, Carl. Let me out of this.
No, I'm just curious what you were going to say.
It always makes me very nervous when I have people on the show as a couple, or when somebody starts dating somebody else and they start making videos together. It makes me super nervous because of what I've seen. I'm like, that's the end of that relationship right there, because your time together is less special, like you said, and then everything becomes a stageable moment, is what I've heard from
it's
many
for
of the
it's
couples.
for everyone,
and
not
so it's
just
like,
us.
do you have a real relationship, or it's just a relationship
Correct.
that your audience sees? And I've heard this also from porn couples that start an OnlyFans together. It's like, well, they forgot how to be intimate with just each other without the camera angles, or without feeling that there's another presence, or that there's somebody else in the bedroom. So are you growing as a couple organically, or are you growing as social media stars?
As a business.
And some couples stay together, and that's all they have. It's this false, weird.
And then you
it's
put the gay
creepy.
thing on top of it, which we already, as gay men, there's
And
read the
through COVID,
books.
it's like
Yeah.
we were all hungry for
Well, that's
companionship.
how I met my ex-boyfriend. It was COVID. Oh, he's speechless.
Wow.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to get
He
into
doesn't.
it.
He does, but he doesn't.
It's also a telltale sign, and I don't know how you feel about this, and we talked about it when you were on last. Is it a red flag if your significant other doesn't put you on their grid, or tag you in a lot of stuff, or there's one person posting about the other?
Or they
is
don't
one of the
like or
things-
comment.
This is one of the things I hate about social media, is that it becomes this chasm of comparison, and this
Ooh,
whole
the chasm of comparison.
Yes.
Note that
Yeah.
down, will you?
It's like a relationship algorithm.
Yeah.
Yes, and but it's so not even subconscious, but there's a sort of you're just not being so deliberate about it, right? Because it's not in a book yet. We're not writing a bunch of, there's not so much information and data around it, because we're still living in it yet. In maybe 200 years, people were like, the time of influence and social media had we will see the effect on brain and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
whatever. and that is one of the things that, like, while it has brought me a lot of joy, and I've connected with a lot of people, and when I walk around and people come and feel compelled to come and tell me, I just have to say, like, I love your content, I love you, like, that is very, very sweet. That I would never give that up or change that. There's just, like, who wouldn't want someone to come tell you that? And it happened by accident, which makes it even more beautiful, because it was like, wow, I really wasn't even trying. It just so happened that, like, a perfect storm of things came to be. And there's also the other side of it, which is, like, now because who we are on social media is literally just a version of you. It's one little
our bad days. We never put our shitty. I look like shit.
Maybe we should start an Instagram page where we just put our bad and shitty.
Oh, yeah, that'll be.
But
real,
people do that.
real
But this
hot.
is what I mean. Is
that's their brand.
There is a canon of
It's
work
their
done by
version
influencers
of it. It's
who are
still
doing that.
manufactured, though. They're not just taking a selfie and posting it. It's still manufactured, even if they're showing their depressive side. And to your point of somebody that's oversharing and very emotional and it's sincere the first couple of times, there are influencers out there that every video they put is so depressing, and it's become this act that it's so unbelievable, and it takes away from other people that are sharing their truth.
That, you know,
Well, it also takes away from your relationship with the other person, where you go, now this feels like a job.
Yeah. It's a really wild. It is the new wild west. It really is, like. But I also have such an appreciation for people who are doing it, who are so, like, they have a schedule. They're like, this is the video I'm taping today, and I'm going to edit it for tomorrow, and blah, blah, blah. And there's something about that I envy, because I'm not the most organized person. I'm the king of efficiency and calling it out in every other person. Every driver in LA, every waiter. Literally, it's like my thing to do, because I just have a white glove and I just want things to be as efficient as they possibly can. But I myself am not that, which is what I'm dealing with in therapy. But I say that to say that I do have a genuine understanding now, more than ever, around content creators, and it takes a lot of work. And if you're doing it every day and it feels like it's engaging and you are seeing some numbers, it's not just like Vine poo-poo shit / like abs. There are people who are really putting themselves out there in a very deliberate and it almost feels like poetic sometimes. Like Dylan Mulvaney is a perfect example. She has done her 100 Days of Girlhood. I don't know if you know about this. Anyway, but she's been sharing a sort of like first 100 days of her transition into womanhood. And we spoke once, and she was very candid about, like, I don't know how you did that. Like, this is a lot. And I was like, I know. But she's doing it by herself. So she's having to kind of, you're your producer, you're your writer, you're the actor,
Lighting
and you're the
designer.
publicist. You're the guy who's like, okay, or the girl.
And this goes back to your very first question at the top of the show about, we roll our eyes, but there is talent and skill that goes into whether you're shooting it all on your iPhone or you've got one of these nice cameras. I mean, you're editing, like you said, you're editing it, you're lighting it, you're shooting it.
And then you get a sponsorship for it, and then they tell you how to say it.
Correct.
And all this, and that's like a whole other pressure.
And it's also because it's what's happening now, It wasn't happening then when 1,000 years ago when you were born, or
Thank you.
3,000 years ago when you were born.
Even
know what I mean?
better, even better.
I was born 5,000 years ago, so don't worry. But I just mean, like,
that puts
it's
us way
that,
behind.
It's a little bit of like, oh, like, it's when my dad's like, huh, TikTok, what? And I'm like, okay. Even though he's on it and he knows more about it
Why are
probably
you
than I
putting
do.
that in
but-
front of me?
Because I thought you needed a refresher.
I'm drinking water at this point.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh.
You know what happens when I come on this show?
I know, we have a lot
Halfway
of fun.
through, I have to go to the bathroom because
Without fail.
and it's coming soon.
Okay, so
To a theater near you.
there's
Or anywhere.
another heavy subject I want to bring up, but
Oh, boy.
let's save that.
What is it? No, bring it up. Come on.
No, I want to say.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
take a little breather. I do want to talk about your beginnings. Born in England, went to Miami.
I'm going to the toilet. I'm sorry. I
Are
like
you
it.
serious?
Yes, I have a really
You don't want to
small
know
butt.
the beginnings of my life?
Once the focus is on. Okay, I see.
How rude.
Here's a cup.
Cross my
No,
legs.
go to the bathroom.
No,
go to the
no,
bathroom.
no.
You're fine,
We
you're
don't
fine,
need
you're
any.
fine.
We don't need any Australian
No,
accents.
it's fine. It's fine.
No, you know how they do things in Australia. It's
I'll be
like
right
blah,
back.
blah, blah,
I actually
everywhere.
don't. Never been there.
But you have had this like multicultural past. But I want to talk about, you started studying the arts at a very early age. What did you learn early on? I know you went to School of the Arts. What did you learn early on in those years of acting school that you still subscribe to today? And you did acting, dance, and the whole gamut.
Yeah, the whole thing. Like learned in terms of like.
I mean, there's certain things that I learned super early, such as like vocally or improv. You know, certain things that doesn't matter how old you get, no matter how many projects you do, you're still going to remember these early rules.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I was younger. I started dancing when I was 2. My dad's in the business, so we grew up
in the film industry.
Yeah. And but he had been living in London for quite a while. That's where he met my mom, and he had me and my sister. We went to, we did ballet Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Thursday was swimming. We were very active children. And then there was that moment when we moved to the States that it was like, oh, I would like to be a regular child now, and I don't want to do anything my parents are telling me to do. And especially when you leave a place that is the most opposite from the American culture, and then on top of that, Miami, which is its own country.
I love that you use American and culture in the same sentence. That was cute.
Oh.
Just kidding. No, but like the arts in America is not such a thing as like you will do sports. You'll learn Spanish, you'll learn a second language, but the culture and art is just like a leftover thing. It's
It was
funded.
yeah, that it was. If I literally didn't have my dad because what happened was we stopped being we didn't want to do all those other things. I was like, I don't want to swim anymore. I don't want to dance. I just want to hang out with friends and assimilate. Like I was like, I just want to be like the other kids.
Yeah.
And I think if I saw my 9-year-old self,
I'm just doing my
I'd be like, don't do that. Like try to literally go do those things and be the best at them and be an Olympic version of all of those things. But anyway, what happened was my dad was like, I think you should go to. Is he pouring something for me or for him?
No, it's for you.
Oh wow.
It's water.
I'm helping.
Okay. Is this
going,
like?
keep talking.
Yeah. What's that? Sharp objects. Remember when the mom is like, drink this? What's that called when you? Do you know what I'm talking about? Patricia Clarkson, Amy.
Oh, I did not like that. Sorry. I
That's
don't care
okay.
how many award nominations I got.
No, but what's that called when you like make someone sick and so that they need you?
Codependent or
No,
Unhealthy?
Munchausen by proxy.
Yes,
That's what
yes.
was just happening right here. Anyway,
Well, sorry, did we talk about me having drugged someone earlier? No.
No, don't even joke about that.
do we have time
Not
for
in this
this?
culture.
This is about me, Karl.
It's
No, I'm
about you.
kidding.
Come on.
No, but I think like the biggest thing that happened was like the arts saved me because I didn't realize I needed it, and I was feeling like a flaily fish, like just out of water, didn't know what was going on. And then I joined this art school called Newell School of the Arts, which like changed my life, and it wouldn't have happened unless my dad did the research and was like, I think you should audition for this performing arts high school.
It's so crazy because he's usually the dad's like, I'm not paying for any.
Oh no, but
Very
he's
school?
like I literally grew up in a very, very worldly family. Like they just understood that like those things enrich your life, and so thanks, Dad. But that school started a journey with me about like, oh, like there's this thing I could start to do again, and I started dancing and taking it way more seriously, and the discipline of dance and finding a sort of like a mastery of a thing again at such a young age, I think really set me up for being more confident, walking into a room like knowing one thing on top of 3 it was just like I really think the arts literally need to be in everybody's life
So
in some way,
how
shape,
do you
or form.
feel when you see that governments, not just in this country but around the world, are slashing those programs in school and taking all that stuff away from kids, and we're seeing kids growing up on iPads with no social skills? When you're losing out on those programs that teach you so much, as you said, about yourself and about learning how to laugh at yourself, learning that actually if you fail, it can be a good thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously like enrages me. It makes me sad, but like at the same time, I want to be like, so if you're cutting and slashing that money, like where's that money going? Like because
To buy guns.
yeah. So here's my thing though, and I know we all know this, but like if those children were just going and experiencing that art and learning something and
Music.
expressing themselves.
Humility. It teaches
Yeah,
humility.
and you learn to go, oh, I'd like to contribute in this
Correct.
way, and so you learn at an early age rejection. You know what I mean? It's just like there's
Yes.
so much that happens to you at a young age when you are learning and trying to master a thing. Whether it's swimming, whether it's music, whether it's singing or dancing or acting, it doesn't matter. Art, it's just like it could literally change that child's. It could change the world.
And it does for a lot of us queer kids It's the one thing that saves us.
Yeah.
And look at the industry that saved us all during COVID was the entertainment industry. Whether it was music that was being released, whether it was a new show on Netflix,
Whether it was TikTok.
people,
Or
whether
Chris
it was
and Ian.
TikTok,
Yeah.
or whether it was whether it was a younger generation that had nothing else to watch, so they watched some old school Hollywood films,
Right.
or they watched some Stephen Sondheim's material, or they watched Hamilton on
Or
TV.
they watch
Yeah.
On the Rocks with Alexander.
Exactly.
Parents don't let this, except on the East Coast apparently.
Yeah.
4 times a week. Thank you, Channel 31.
That's the most you get normally in a week, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I
At
got
least I get some, Carl.
Listen.
So I want to fast forward right after
Ladies.
graduation. Right after graduation, you book your Broadway show. You did 3 shows: Soul Doctor, Leap of Faith, Mamma Mia. What do you remember your Broadway debut? Of course, every kid that studied the arts, it's Broadway. It's like first night. Do you remember what was going through your mind? Opening night.
Which show was
everybody's
it?
Like,
Mamma Mia.
Ah.
I joined Mamma Mia, and my parent. I remember it was October 18th, 2009, 2008, 2009. I think it was 2009 because I had just graduated that year.
After
and-
West Side Story.
Yes. So I had just graduated, and I went on tour with West Side in London and Germany, and it was amazing. I played Arab, like bucket list role, just like a crazy moment that I just won't ever get that again.
Yeah.
And I performed it at Sadler's Wells, where I saw my first show ever because I grew up there.
and full circle.
It was
and that's
crazy.
a full-on.
Yeah.
That, I mean, if you're in the dance world, that theater
Yeah.
is kind of like if you're an opera singer performing at the Met in New York.
Yeah. Anyway, but that happened, and I remember this is a little anecdote on how I even got to Broadway. But I found out while I was in Athens doing doing West Side. It was the last leg of that tour. And I was getting emails from my agent to be like, hey, like, can you call us as soon as you can? And I thought, I was like, oh, they're just going to tell me, like, I don't have an audition for Hamilton. Or, like, Andy doesn't want to see you. I don't remember. But I was just like, I'll call you later. And I didn't have, like, a worldwide plan. And then it was like I got this email once. It was like, Ken, you really need to call us. Can you ask one of your castmates to like use a phone? So I asked my friend Jen Locke. I was like, hey, I know you have a worldwide phone. Can I borrow it? And so we had just done ballet class because you had to take ballet class every day and it was mandatory before West Side. And I called the agents and they were like, hi, oh my God, hello. So nice to fucking hear from you. How are you? What's going on? Blah, blah. Mamma Mia would like to offer you a spot in their show. And I was like, what? And they were like, Mamma Mia on Broadway would like to offer you a role, blah, blah, blah. And my friend Julian was standing right in front of me who was playing Chino. And I literally couldn't believe what I said. I was like, I think I just got Mamma Mia on Broadway. And like more stunned than that though. And then he like walked away and then I was getting more
You
info.
thought like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, but literally,
Shoot me too, Maria.
he walked away. I turned my head down and I was like getting info for a second. And then I look back up. My entire cast is in front of me. Literally like Anita, all the Bebecita, literally everybody. And it was one of those moments I will always remember because I was in Athens, in Greece, learning about a show I was about to play, which takes place in Greece.
How old were you then?
I think I was like 20,
Right.
21.
I mean, that's huge.
It was crazy. But like that moment was really, really cool. I was the happiest jet that night.
Yeah.
Like no angry Arab, the happiest jet. I was like, but then we got there. So opening night, all of that to say, my parents were there. They saw, because it was there for like a week, and I think it was like a Wednesday matinee. They saw both of those shows, and I was like excited, but I was also like nervous because more so my parents were there. It was just like I didn't care about anyone else audience-wise, but it was just like they're seeing me do a thing for the first time ever, and that was really, really special. But I felt really prepared.
Are your parents good critics, or do you have one parent like my mom? She would come and see stuff and she'd pull all the bad stuff first, and I would go, could you not just say it was a good show? Maybe this. No. And I love you, Mum.
No,
I do.
You know how close I am. I want
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
thing. That was her way of love because she's
Yes.
like, that was great, but here's
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
no. I didn't even get that's great. I just go, well, I would. This
Well,
one
maybe
could have
you
been
weren't,
better. Yeah, well, wow.
It's how they share. It's how they communicate.
But
love,
do you have a
for
parent
sure.
like that?
I do actually.
It's
my
the Latina.
No, actually, my mom is just like, oh, that was so great, wonderful. Oh my God, I was so happy to see you. My dad is the one who, like, if I call with a new job, and because he's the one telling me about auditions.
Your
He's like,
dad is so invested in you, and I
he's
love
so
it.
But he
invested.
understands
I love
the
that.
business side of it too.
He
He's
does.
like, how much?
He's like reading Variety, and he
That's so
knows
cute.
about every show that's coming 6 months before I do. So like I get the one up on most things because he's telling me about it first. But one of the things that he does, which isn't a pet peeve, but I'm just always like, LOL, because it's such a dadager thing to do.
A dadager.
Yeah. Or Mama Rose. it'll be like, oh, so what are you doing in this one? Is it ensemble still? And I'm like, yeah, it is, Dad. It is, but I'm covering blah, 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 blah. He's like, okay. No, that's great. That's great. It's never, I'm sounding way more condescending or
right.
like upset, but it's a genuine
We
like,
understand.
are you a principal? Because he just sees it from me so much
Yes.
more clearly than I do.
Really?
Which I think is like, really, yeah, sometimes.
Well, that's his job, though.
Exactly.
As a dad.
And that's one of the.
And that's such a nice thing, though, to say, because you don't hear this version that often. It's
Yeah.
normally the mom. It's mom. It's mom. Especially for us gay boys.
Mm-hmm.
Dad is sort of keeps a safe distance, and even more so if it comes to theater or the arts.
Oh, no.
So to hear this is so refreshing and so nice.
Yeah, no, I really, he can annoy the shit out of me sometimes because it can be just business in that way. Like the way he's sharing his love, I'm just like, can I just get like affection? You know what I mean? Can it?
That's his affection.
And I know,
Yeah.
and that is one of the things that like one day when he's not here, I am going to miss
Yeah.
those moments. And I literally like, it's my favorite thing about him, and it can also like make you roll your eyes. But that's
love.
exactly.
That's
and
love,
that's why I
right?
love him so much.
What show did you learn the most from?
Ooh,
This one.
Mamma Mia, honestly. Mamma Mia was, I joke, but I'm very serious. It was like Broadway college for me because I was cocky as fuck. And not like, oh, I don't belong
You
here.
had just
like,
done a tour of West Side Story with the
Yeah.
top dancers and
yeah,
yeah.
I was just like, I thought I was on top of the world. I was taking dance class every day. I was in the show. I wanted to audition. I was just like, nothing can
You were
stop
young.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Keep doing.
I mean, you
Wait,
know.
do that
But-
again.
but-
Just do that one more time. With the, no, with the
You
spirit
were-
fingers.
You were young.
That's why I order it in and out.
Oh, maybe
spirit
rethink
fingers?
it.
Protein style, or what are they called? I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
pretend I know.
Animal style.
I
Yeah.
like it animal style. Wow. See, you are all dirty people with your minds in the gutter.
You're right. Sorry, that was me.
Well, and you know, a lot of younger people come to Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia, that show has given birth to some of the best actors on TV film. That's been a
Yes.
learning ground for a lot of them. But a
Yeah.
lot of people say, "Oh, it's Mamma Mia, it's ABBA songs, it's a fun show." It's a
It did-
demanding show.
It was a demanding show in a very different way because it really it like brought out a lot of joy in people. People jumped up off of their
even
out of their
non-theater
seats.
goers.
Well,
like that
but,
was their
but
theater.
is there pressure when you do a show like that because it is ABBA and they are so huge and so beloved and so well known? So you're performing the story and you're performing their songs, and ABBA fans are hardcore fans. Is there an added pressure on top of what you're doing when it's that?
I wonder if maybe that might have been a little bit more present when it first opened because I joined
so.
like 8 years after
Right.
it had already been around in that way.
and everybody's seen the movie and like tapping their
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
and,
yeah. And so like but like no, I don't. That was never something that we were worried about in the theater at all. But to just answer your question, like I just learned a lot about being on an 8-show-a-week schedule for a long period of time. That's just something you only learn if
Party
you
life
do
is
it.
out.
Yeah, it's just like you're a bit of a monk. I mean,
Yeah.
not if you're some of my other castmates, but like
Well, I have a follow-up question.
okay.
During which show did you have the most backstage shenanigans?
Oof, wow.
I've heard about that Mamma Mia cast. It's like,
The
how'd,
Mamma Mia-
how'd you guys
Eh,
walk on
listen,
stage?
Listen to me. Mamma Mia was we sang in sound booths in the back because we did all of the backups.
Yeah.
And there was no place like that backstage experience because we all
Those
were
dark booths backstage.
No, it was
I've
ju-
heard some Mamma
we
Mia
were
stories.
just like we just had so much fun. We like
Did things happen in the booth?
like in what sense?
I'm talking
In
about
the
like
sense
shenanigans.
that he was suggesting.
Like, okay, which show did you maybe hook up with the most castmates?
Oh,
and
well,
you
that's,
roll your eyes at
you
me
can't-
for
you
asking
can't-
questions.
There was no time for that.
It doesn't have to be like during the show,
Oh,
but like
well, that's happening everywhere.
right. But which show had the most cast members that you? Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, for me specifically.
Well, clarify.
Form another.
Clarify. Boop, 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 boop. He's barely touched that one.
You know, interestingly enough,
Ian's very professional.
I believe that.
Listen, I like.
believe that.
I
We're all
definitely. I get
human,
dick
though.
brain, and like all of a
You
sudden, I
do?
don't know how to focus. Definitely, but when it comes to workplace, that is a place where I'm just like I don't like to mess with that so much because I have to eat and sleep there. You know what I mean? When you're doing 8 shows a week, you're there all the time, and it's just not the place that you want to like.
Mess in your backyard.
Yeah, but I'll be someone's soundboard for whatever's going on for them and help them and,
And
life,
as long as
probably
it's
life
not
coach
in
them
your
out of it.
backyard, it's fine. Oh, get out of the gutter, pair of you.
Okay, we're gonna do some rapid fire style, and then we're
Oh,
gonna
that
end
means
on
the
this
show's
avenue.
nearly over.
Almost. What's the type of TikTok or viral video that you would love to do, but your fans probably wouldn't understand or engage with?
Ooh.
This actually comes from one of your fans. This question.
that I don't think they would engage with.
Like, what's a video like? God, I
Yeah,
wish I
yeah,
could
yeah.
do that, but
But I don't feel it's on brand.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a better way to
wow,
put it.
wow,
I'm here
wow,
to be
wow,
your
wow.
co-host.
Oh my god. God, rapid fire. Is it weird that I think like if I just sat down and did it, I could and it would be fine.
Yeah.
But that's actually what I think. That's my answer.
Okay.
It's just about sitting down and doing it.
Is it hard to date right now because people want to date Ian from TikTok and not Ian, the real person?
No, because I'm not really looking for that in that way. But I guess when I start to, if that's what it seems like, I'll call you and let you know. You know what I mean? Like I haven't had that experience. Like, but again, I'm in a very big like self-discovery, like refocusing on my relationship with me, because I wasn't focusing on that for the last two years.
Good for you.
But interesting. I don't know. That's quite a question, because that would mean that like I'm someone in some way. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I'm still me.
Right, but still, like, we've had comedians come on and like, well, people want go on a date and they're like, okay, I'm with comedians like,
Tell the joke.
Be funny.
Yeah.
Make me laugh. And it's like, well, I'm not that person. I'm me.
Morbidly depressed.
I see
person.
what you're
You're
saying.
not walking in the restaurant doing your dance and like sitting in your chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe I am though.
But you're not like in a good mood all the time either. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. That's one of the things that is, I think, the hardest thing I've had to do is come to terms with like, oh, like there's a sassy, much more direct version of me that people don't know about, and you know, it's like not everyone's gonna get that.
Well, there's also the being. Sorry, I know it's rapid fire, but there's being on, which we all have to do in the capacity of what we do for a living.
Yep.
And people, especially in the dating world, see you and you make a good impression on the first couple of dates because you're on. And when you get relaxed and into it, and suddenly you don't want to be on because you've been on all day, they go, "Is everything okay?"
See,
What
I like to
happened?"
ruin it on the first date because if you can't handle this, then it's not going to work out because you're going to find out about it third or fourth time or
Good.
whatever.
Well, you're
just
living
gonna
your
do
truth. You're living your truth.
100%. Thank
Amen.
you,
I mean,
Karl.
I think You're welcome.
That's naturally also happening with just dating in general.
Anybody,
You go,
yes.
oh, I've plugged
if
an
Panda
idea.
Express is your favorite place to go, let's go
Then
there on a
let's go
first
there.
Yes,
date.
please tell me that off the bat.
I once got food poisoning from a Panda Express at JFK Airport.
That's impossible. They have so many preservatives. How could that even happen?
It was a very uncomfortable Delta flight home.
Oh God. But you're first class, so that's fine. So we're going to get to the heavy question, but I want to talk about the Oscars. Both of you were at the Oscars from a very unique perspective, shall we say. Ian, who were you most surprised by the way that they acted, good or bad? Because you got to see them in a very different light.
I was gonna find the words, Rose.
Yeah.
You,
Rose is like a term of endearment. That's a thing I learned at Mamma Mia, by the way. And I'm the Rose usually of the group. Anyway, I think the person I was most surprised. I mean, this person really. Everyone's always like, "What? That's so random." But when Kevin Costner walked by me, I know, I get it, but like. I grew up watching Robin Hood, and I grew up watching The Bodyguard, and he just lives in a place like if Harrison Ford walked by me, same deal.
I'm the same with Harrison Ford.
I get
agree
that
with
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
It's just
Even though we know Harrison Ford's a bit of a jerk.
Well, no, but nice to me. I tell you, you want to know who's a
they're
real
just
jerk?
walking
I'll tell you
by.
later.
It's not like I was having conversation with them, but like Kevin Costner, and I was like, oh my god, like that's Kevin Costner.
Because he's a movie star, right?
Yes.
A real movie star.
Yes.
As is
But-
Harrison.
I
Oh,
didn't-
and to our audience that might not know, you were actually backstage right after like they won the award and they talked to the press. Like you were backstage.
He had better access than me, and I was on the network that broadcasts the show.
But you get to see them coming in where they're still refreshed and they're being polite and all of that.
And then I get to see them at the Vanity Fair party.
That's why I wanted your
Right.
opinions because you saw them from very different perspectives.
Yes, I did. I mean, I did get to see them walking in, and that was really fun. Nicole Kidman like waved at me, which literally
that's
like,
cute.
hi Nicole. You
I
know,
love her.
I love her.
Love.
And I had a moment with Rosie Perez because she was standing, I don't know, 7 feet away from me, and I was just like, Rosie, and she turned around, and I told her how beautiful she looked, and she was like, thank you. And it's on a reel, if you can find it on my Insta. But like those were cool, very interesting moments that like. It was like Christmas Day for me. The Oscars has literally always been like that favorite day.
Talk about it like another childhood dream, and like you can check that off.
Oh my god.
Now, who was like, I don't really need to see them again?
Michael Keaton. Oh, sorry.
No one. I didn't
I
feel
didn't
like
think you were
that
going
about
to chime
anybody.
in. Really?
Yeah.
I've heard about Mr. Keaton.
Yeah.
You have
Another
a story.
icon.
I have
though.
several. Do you know who I was most excited to see at the Oscars? And this is legit. Ian, because I hadn't seen him for years. And suddenly he walks past me on the carpet. And I'm like, hello.
Oh, you
Yeah.
didn't stop and like acknowledge him? You're like,
No,
No,
I sure
we,
did.
we took a
I
picture.
saw him.
Yeah, I
That's
I
cute.
screamed out your
That's
name like a
cute.
fan.
You know, and
Did
this is something about
Yes, I was like, Ian.
Oh
and
my
then you
God.
come
that's
over.
attractive. It's like his mating call.
Oh, that's it was like dress rehearsal like
yes,
before.
that
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
the Saturday.
Yes.
This is what I love, and this is what I love about you. There's also another pandemic in our community is that we don't want other people to succeed because we feel this weird jealousy. What I love about you is that you are so supportive. It's like, so when you see each other, you're genuinely happy for each other. It's like,
Yes.
if we were all to do that and all help each other succeed, then
Oh
we're
my
all going to
gosh.
succeed.
And can I, let
And
me,
that happens in the influencer world a lot. It's
Well-
like, oh, you don't have to make nasty comments.
and
or
with your
whatever.
cocktail spin, let me just give you a moment because you've always been very complimentary to me on the show. But you work your tail off in researching and preparing. And I sit in awe of you when I come on the show because you're so prepared and you are so no, but
You're
you're
the
so
consummate.
no, but not compared. You're so dedicated and you take this so personally in a good way. And I watch you. You work so hard, and you've not just pandemic. You've had other things going on in your family, and I tip my hat to you. And whenever you say come and be on the show, I'm like, it's the minute I can get there because I think you're so good, and you don't get the kudos and the credit you deserve.
God, you're
and
so sweet.
I know it's
I don't know what to do with
it's
this.
unusual.
I'm
Neither do I.
uncomfortable.
Who am I? It's all that vulgar. No, but I want to. You do, and you're paying me a compliment about lifting people up, but you do that by putting on this show every week. You bring people in and you bring such an interesting and diverse mix of people, whether it's porn stars or sex workers
or Tippi Hedren.
or Tippi Hedren.
Hedren,
And
yeah.
I don't know why I pointed at you when I said Tippi Hedren. My hand just, but kudos to you because that's a thing too. And you're giving other people that are sometimes heavily stigmatized, if we talk about sex work and porn, and you're giving them a platform to be themselves and show their true selves. And that's a really admirable thing.
Well, thank you. It's because I am passionate about entertainment.
Have I disarmed you
love-
now?
I mean, it's a little shy, like stuttering, but I love entertainment so much, and I can't
You do.
saturate enough of it. So when I get to meet people that are movers and shakers in any different genre,
love
it's
entertainment.
exciting to me. And what I've learned from interviewing every type of person is everybody has a passion and we're all on the same journey. We have a lot of similarities that we don't even realize, whether it's a porn star next to an Academy Award winner, next to a Tony Award winner, next to a WWF wrestler. There's some similarities that we all have on this
Right.
journey. We all have obstacles, and so if we can communicate and help
Correct.
each other through these obstacles, then it'll be a much happier
And I
place.
always say, look, if we can have a discussion, we don't have to agree, right? But if we can have a conversation about something, maybe both of us walk away with something that we didn't think was possible.
Right.
And that's all it takes to affect, sorry to get bigger and deeper, but that's
No.
all it does to affect change, whether it's how you view someone selfishly because of their HIV status or their color or their religion or who they love. It's just a conversation, and we don't always have to agree, but at least we talked about it, and maybe we took one little grain of somebody else's perspective and went, let me sit on that and think about it.
We had a panel. It was you, somebody from American Horror Story,
Yes.
a straight guy, and then a porn star.
Yes.
And I got a comment from one of the other people on the panel saying, I'm with a porn star? I don't know about that. And then by the end, we were all talking
They're
about these hot
besties.
topics. Besties, and it was like, God, we really do have a lot in common.
We
Where
do.
At first, it was like, I don't know if I want to sit next to him. I'm like, why? It's
Why?
so
We
dumb.
all like sex.
It's not like
Come
he's
on.
gonna fuck you by sitting next to you.
Well.
He wouldn't anyway. Okay, so this is a topic I want to talk about. It has to do with kind of what you're doing with PlusLife Media. I want to talk about the Queer as Folk reboot. Spoiler alert: one of the characters, present day, learns that they've contracted HIV. Very young kid. He's very emotional about it.
Thanks
Doesn't
for
want to
spoiling
tell
that for
anyone.
me.
But I didn't say who. There's a lot of young
Oh,
kids
that's
in
true,
it.
that's true.
Yeah. He doesn't want to tell anyone about it. He starts taking his meds because those are the services that are available to young kids. When he tells his mom, she laughs and then cries and then laughs and says, "Oh God, I thought you were going to tell me you were dying." I have mixed feelings about that. Yes, our younger generation has no idea what it was like to live in a time where people were literally dropping like flies
Right.
around you because of AIDS and HIV. But is this kind of statement also making our youth thinking that getting HIV is no biggie, or is it helping to remove the stigma? I feel torn.
Well, I think kudos to the show. We need to stop showing HIV as the big bad wolf and the death sentence. And look, a lot of we don't ever want to not acknowledge the hell that was happening 41 years ago, but we need to move beyond HIV as sort of the victim and the downer story, right? Because that's not what HIV has to be anymore. And so by having proper representation where we see people thriving and just so happens I'm HIV positive, but much like what modern storylines are starting to do, that destigmatizes in itself. What we see on television in these programs so often still looks back at 1984. I will give kudos to the guys at Pose, who I think did a phenomenal job. And I reached out to several of them personally and have had them on PlusLife to say thank you for making HIV a character in of itself. And yes, you were showing the darkest time of HIV, but you also showed the resilience and the strength and people going, I'm not going to be beaten by this. And we need to get beyond that. I see your point. You're saying, are we trivializing HIV? Oh, you just take a pill now, or you just take your shots.
And the trauma of getting that diagnosis. This is what I love to see this with a young kid, because there is a trauma, no matter how serious or not. It's not just take a pill.
No, but you know what? Yes, there is a trauma, but the trauma is there because of the stigma. That's where the trauma is. I'm not trying to sort of advocate to go out and get HIV by any means. I mean, we've got wonderful things.
That's what I'm afraid of, is that the youth are not taking precautions, not just for HIV, but for other things.
Well, and that's the thing. We've got PrEP now, which is a phenomenal drug that, by the way, is not just for gay men. Women should be taking it too if they're
100%. Because we know men are everywhere on the Kinsey scale, and men
right. But a lot of women don't actually think they can take PrEP. They just think it's a pill for dudes. That is not the case. Women can take PrEP, and it's like a form of birth control, really, in a sense. Look, if you're going to have condomless sex, let's be honest about things. Take responsibility for your own sexual health, right? If you're going to have sex without condoms, then you are opening the door to STIs, and that's part of it, right? If you ride a motorbike and don't wear a helmet,
none of us are saints. Like we
all, God, I've had every single one, and let me tell you, that gonorrhea shot, the syphilis shot, really hurts. So, but here's the thing. I say this all the time. I've said it to you. The one thing that connects all of us is sex, right? Everybody.
I thought you were going to say gonorrhea.
Well, sometimes, but everybody does it.
I just wonder if we would connect the dots here.
Everybody does it. Everybody likes it. And we're all here because two people had sex. So why can't we talk about it? The stigma and the shame. But to the point of, we don't want to trivialize anything, but we also need to get to a point where nobody should walk into a clinic like I did at 27 years old and then walk out of that clinic 45 minutes later and instantly think, what have I done to my parents? And that's it. No one should be made to feel that way because they had sex with somebody. I mean, they had an hour, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, I don't know, but with someone or a group of people. It's the most natural thing we can do, and yet we stigmatize it and somehow bring shame and make us all feel dirty for doing the one thing that comes as natural as breathing and farting. So, I don't know. I don't think shows like that trivialize it.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's like, she's laughing about it. That it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, but I think that's a really positive message, especially if you're a young gay guy and you're terrified. Look, we all come out as gay. I'll never forget. I came out as gay, and my mother said, the one thing she said was, okay, but just promise me you won't get AIDS. Well, I didn't get AIDS, but tick, well done me, top score. But to see on television a mother laugh and go, oh my God, I thought you were going to tell me you're dying. That's a really powerful message for people. And we need to start seeing more of that versus, oh my God, you've got AIDS, you're going to die, or you're a drug abuser and it's all doom and gloom and all of that.
100%. I think a lot of the material that came out during COVID was so heavy. It's like, hey, we're depressed on our own. And it was all about either the coming out experience was so awful or everybody was dying.
But I think we're shifting away from that, Alexander. I think when you look now, thankfully, a lot of the content where we're seeing queer representation, yes, they're queer, and that's thank you, and we get on with it. It's not necessarily a coming out story or a this or a that.
I mean, we have Hallmark movies now,
right?
Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah, and thank God. So I don't know. I see your point, and I've had this discussion a lot. People going, well, now you just take a pill or whatever, and so a lot.
I've heard this from young generations.
and
too.
a
It's
lot
like,
of and
what's
a
a
lot
lot more than that.
Well, and the bad side is what that does is it makes people think that HIV doesn't matter anymore.
I think that's
Right.
where I'm going.
Right.
And Gilead, I can't see one more HIV PrEP commercial on Drag Race and watching Queer as Folk.
Well,
it needs to be on mainstream TV.
Well,
to your point,
no,
it's like
but
everybody needs to see
no,
these commercials.
but well, watch ABC7 because I can tell you we run Biktarvy commercials all the time, and that's the drug I
no,
take.
ABC, like you guys have been a leader, obviously televising Pride for the first time.
Well, ABC's been phenomenal. I mean, I told you we've talked about this. I got to stand a few years ago on the Oscars and say that I was HIV positive, and then run a package about, HIV positive characters in film. Like, that was phenomenal for 30 million people around the world.
Well, that's a whole other discussion, is who's portraying these characters. But
Yes,
that's a whole other discussion.
I
Anyway.
agree.
But this is the exciting thing that I feel this Pride, is that I haven't just had people on the show just saying, agree. We're having these conversations in a respectful way. And the minute we stop asking questions, even if we think it's stupid, to our non-binary friends, to our trans community, to our black community, to other minority communities, we have to stop being so afraid of asking questions
But we
and
have
instead communicate.
But we've become so afraid because everyone is
Everybody's cancel.
cancel, and I think I've
Especially
said-
in your world.
Yeah,
you know?
but we use this word, we throw this word judgmental out and about, and it's kind of this popular thing to go, well, I don't judge. Well, okay, fine, but you can have
all judge
but
naturally,
you
by the way.
but you can also have an opinion, right? And it may not be the general consensus, but leading to your point, I have an opinion that happens to differ from yours. Let's have a conversation, and maybe we'll both walk away having learned something that we didn't think about before. That's having an opinion, but we're very quick, especially in our community, especially here in LA, to go, you're a judgy bitch. No, in my opinion, if I go up to you and say something that makes you feel like shit, yeah, that's judgmental and that's mean. But if I say something to a friend, and I'm
And it
passing
makes you think.
yes,
I'm a journalist and I write for a print
much
magazine.
better than me because you've got better spelling.
No, but I'm talking about writing. But we have to put, because our distribution is national, we have to wrap up, everything has to be wrapped up a month and a half before the issue hits.
Right.
Which means I'm doing the interview maybe 2 months ahead. So I interviewed somebody that had different pronouns. So when the article came out, it had wrong pronouns. It's in print. There's nothing I can do about
Right.
it. The hate, the upset, even from their PR, I'm like, everybody knew what we were dealing with.
Right.
And it was so awful. Instead of saying, this is a great opportunity for another article and a follow-up interview to say, hey, this is the evolution. This is how a journalist like me needs to learn.
Of course.
And how we can move on from that rather than, oh, my God, it was the worst thing ever. I got hate
you're
email.
evil, cancel, you stupid,
Right.
and then they get personal and nasty about it.
And even the person themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't understand. It's like, I'm trying the best that I can, and we're all trying. Hopefully, we're all trying
Yeah.
Look, I think
to learn.
I would like to believe that most of us go about not wanting to hurt other people and make other people feel like shit. Now, we can also, and I'm the king of saying sometimes the mouth runs quicker than the brain.
100%.
Right.
I think we make it from like a funny, sassy place.
No, but yeah, well, most of the time. But I don't ever go about going, you know what, I'm going to say something to really hurt their feelings. And I don't think that is like that for any of us. I think as human beings, we're compassionate people.
And we understand when somebody's being malicious, and we understand when somebody's just being
But we're
uneducated.
so quick to
Yes.
jump on the bandwagon of judgmentalness these days. I'm sure even people watching this, I can't wait to read the comments of what people think about me and what I'm saying about this. But it seems like, especially in this country of which I'm a proud citizen now, so I feel I can make these comments a little bit more, you're not allowed to have an opinion that differs from everybody else's. Now, it's one thing to be hateful in the terms of racism and a lot of things that happen in this country, right? But, if I was to say, I don't like, the color of these blue curtains and the blue LED lights, kind of trashy, and I said, that's not me judging you, that's me just going, I don't really like the blue lights on the wall.
But you also have different restrictions, though. You have a network. You have a mainstream network
But
behind you as well.
but
you
even
have
in-
sponsors
but even in
for your
personal
material.
life.
You guys have different restrictions.
Sure, but I mean, but it goes whether it's for work or whether it's a personal thing, And again, I just think it comes back to, we can have differing opinions, and the best way to kind of get beyond them or learn is to talk to somebody versus blocking them.
Yeah. On that note, this is what I love about this Pride Month is we've been having these conversations. So I'm very, very excited. Karl,
I can tell.
Karl,
Yes.
can you share your message to your fans for this Pride season and tell everybody where they want or where you want them to find you and follow you?
Oh well, that's no.
Are you on Grindr, by the way? I got this question from somebody.
I was
a mutual friend.
No,
by the
I'll
way.
tell you
That's
what.
a good save. I got this question from somebody. I like that.
No, it's actually from our mutual friend.
No,
Okay.
I was briefly on it, and I've gotten rid of it again because to what we've been discussing, there's a lot of sort of angry and sort of
On Grindr?
and bitter people out there, and so I got one or two rather unpleasant and slightly threatening messages, and I just went threatening me with silliness, saying, well, I think ABC would be very happy to hear about this kind of
that's so
behavior.
wrong.
And I think, well, that's nice. You don't have a picture and you don't have any information about yourself, but clearly you know who I am. And I sort of took the moment and went, do I really want to put up with this?
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, I normally use Grindr these days when I travel internationally, and
It's the best.
well, and it's
but even to find friends to go
well,
out to
that's
a
what
club.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
not
yes.
using it as a hookup. I find that you know my best friend Chris and I travel, and we're in Myanmar, and I get on Grindr and I go, hey, where do the gays go on a Thursday night? And
Room 69.
but no, I don't have that anymore. I think my message for people during this Pride season is just be nice to each other. It doesn't, we've got to be more patient, and I have to learn this especially,
100%,
right?
100%.
We've got to be more patient and a little bit more understanding, and not so quick to, as we talk about judgmental, but to sort of go, ugh, I can't be bothered with this drama, because as you've pointed out several times during the show with COVID and everything, and all of us feeling just a little more isolated, and then you look at the bigger things that are happening in the world, whether it's the gun thing or the abortion thing or what's happening in the Ukraine, etc. It wouldn't hurt us to just take a beat and listen to each other and be a little kinder. So that would be my message. If people want to find me, it's at Karl J. Schmid. Oh, there, it's on the screen. At Karl J. Schmid. Across all, I made it easy, across all social platforms. And we're also at PlusLife Media is PlusLife, so you can find us there.
Here.
Ian, what is your
Yeah.
message to your fans?
Oh my God. I think to like my young fans, any LGBTQ plus family members, I would just say, find your voice and contribute. Don't, but like if you have people around who light you up and who want to who help bring more of you out, be around those people and find a way to contribute in the world, because that is the only way that the world will change.
Yeah,
I love it.
I like that.
And
What's
where do you want
yours?
people to find you
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
so
follow
we'll
you?
get to you in a minute.
One more time. What did you say?
Where do you want people to find you and follow you?
Karl. You can find me on Instagram at Ian Paget, and then on TikTok it's at Ian Paget _.
Awesome.
What's your message?
My message is to find the humor in everything
Oh yes.
And
just keep going.
and drink
NEFT
NEFT
vodka.
vodka.
And a huge thank you. My message is a huge thank you to friends
Yeah.
that continually to be there through the ups and downs in our career. You know, we all have ups and downs.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's
boy.
very interesting, especially in LA, to see who sticks around you. And,
Yes.
you know, we all have.
You know what? And to piggyback on that, I would also say, like, make friends with many, many different people other than yourselves. Like, don't just be friends with LGBTQI plus people. Have a diverse group of friends around
Yes.
you, and explore the world and try new things, because that is also the only way you yourself are going to grow
Yeah.
and learn about how much you don't know.
And don't be afraid to fail.
Exactly.
And also with the friendship, though, it's also.
You gotta have the last word.
It's his show,
Well,
Ian.
mine,
I mean,
you know
mine
what?
is on the
It's fine,
marquee.
it's fine,
But
it's
it's also understand when a friend is not a friend.
Yeah.
And when you're not that we do things just to get things back, but in LA, I think we're so afraid to be alone or
Correct.
to lose a certain friend. It's like, you know what? If we're on a path and people are not on that path, or they're not appreciative of what we're giving, it's time to move on to something that will.
Yeah, well, and let them hang on if they want to.
Yeah.
I read a quote once and it said, if it comes, let it, and if it goes, let it.
I'm leaving that alone.
I read that on the wall at Motherload. It's a bar. Never mind. Oh, God, Karl. Anyway,
keeping my mouth
know
big
it was
thank
either.
you to everybody. I just love Pride Month here on the Rocks.
I want to thank our studio audience.
And
who
our
know
studio
us.
audience. We have like a
know.
mini audience here. Yes. So attractive. And that's all, folks. It's a grab bag of fun every week on The Rocks. You never know who's going to show up. Big thank you to our fabulous guests, my guest co-host, our engineer and owner, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez, Mama Rose. Mama Rose is fighting this good fight.
How is Mama Rose doing?
She went outside for the first time since before Christmas. She was outside for about 15 minutes. She did that on Father's Day.
And she quickly went,
at
put me back inside.
Well, she has certain restrictions, but so she's doing that. Coming up, we have Broadway powerhouse Tony Award winner Jerry Mitchell is here. We also have
You got Jerry Mitchell. He owes me an interview.
well, he's here next week.
Really? Thank you, Jerry.
We also have members of the cast of the new touring production of Dear Evan Hansen. They're coming in. We also have choreographer and performer Bobby Newberry, who has worked with Eminem,
Come
Missy
on now.
Elliott, Nicki Minaj, and Lil Wayne. Also, we have some Bravo TV surprises in store. So you just have to stay tuned. Please like, share, subscribe so we continue bringing this fabulous programming for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and more importantly, stay tipsy. Sa-sa!
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.